san, ni,
Ichi.
go,
Go.
which is five, ironically. That's fine. Hi, what's up,
Hey,
everyone?
guys.
It's your resident nerds. Oh my God, Nikita's not here. That's crazy.
I've murdered him.
If you don't know, this is one Mr. Justin, a good friend of mine who runs a brother production, brother media. How would you describe yourself?
I would describe it as a brother media in
I'm trying
general.
brother production. It's something
Yeah,
like that.
it's
We
something
all
like
work
that.
under the same pseudonym of the Wonder Project. Which,
Mhm.
in case you didn't know, Justin, this show is called Your Resident Nerds, and I'm Gino, your resident weeb, and this is
And
Justin.
and I'm Justin, your resident video game man, I guess.
But today I'm stealing you as a weeb. Nikita unfortunately wasn't able to join us for recording this week because he's been rather busy with work and such. So
Yeah.
I grabbed Justin literally last night and was like, hey, like, I know you love anime and stuff like that. We talk about all this shit all the time. Like, I'm gonna pull you in. Let's have an anime discussion. Let's do a review for a movie. And what did we choose, Justin? What did we go for?
We chose the 2006 classic, The Girl Who Lept Through Time.
Which was fucking excellent.
It was
we're gonna give a short
fantastic.
non-spoiler review. We're going to go into the production company today. We're going to go a little bit into who directed it. We're going to get into a full synopsis of the film. And by synopsis, I mean, we'll talk about specific things that we liked, and it'll be a little spoilery. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, recommend go seeing it. I'll give you another chance later on. I think, Justin, if you wouldn't mind, we might be able to put in timestamps later for when we end, like non-spoiler versus when we start spoiler and get to our finishing remarks and all that jazz. So
Yeah.
today is a weeb talk, as they say. We're going on the anime train. Fuck those comic books. I don't stand for that.
Dude, comics are weak. You know what it is?
Comics are weak.
Tried and true anime and manga.
I hope Dave Baker, my now good comic friend, who we had our interview with last week, doesn't watch this video and take this to heart, because everyone is Tulip was a rather wonderful comic, which, Justin, I'll recommend to you now that you should read at some point.
Okay, I'll make sure to read it. David, I don't know what to call you. I'm not your friend, but also just want to point out, yes, I am the Justin. I'm also Justin, the editor.
Yes.
So I do edit a good portion of the podcast. So
even though
hi, if you're watching this,
he didn't unfortunately edit that video.
I did not.
I called him out. It ended up being our other editor, who I will call out now, our good friend Tart Austin. He runs a TikTok account called Stupid Physics Memes. If you are one of our TikTok followers, I'd recommend go checking him out. He does a lot of funny things. You know, I'm not into physics. I'm not into physics, and I still follow him and get quite a good laugh out of his content. So
same.
Would highly recommend.
Easy, same. But back to The Girl Who Lept Through Time.
Yes. Let's get into it. Sorry, I'm pulling up the director, a good friend.
You're good. Oh, the man himself.
Hosada-san.
Yep.
Mamoru Hosada. This motherfucker, and by motherfucker I mean this esteemed, wonderful gentleman, has come up with so much good anime content in the 2000s. It's insane. And like, I hate using the terminology underrated. We had this conversation last night, kind of about like what underrated means, because like his stuff, I think, is been well known. Mirai is the recent one I can think of that had its recognition, and that's fine. But like, when we talk about the anime community and what movies and stuff that we're talking about, I feel like this guy's work is mentioned enough. It's not talked about enough. It's insane. Like, he has so many good bangers. To list a few, we've got Mirai.
Oh, Gino, your mic.
Is it doing the glitchy glitch?
Yeah.
It's all right. Anybody who watches us knows that this happens at this point. If you couldn't tell, folks at home, is it fixed? Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. If you couldn't tell, folks at home, one, my mic cord is shit. We're working on getting that fixed at some point. Second of all, I'm at my parents' house. So while my lovely friend Justin has his wonderful locks in full display and with such wonderful lighting,
wonderful studio lighting,
I have this terrible fucking like overhead light and my iPhone light try to light up my face currently.
It works for the most part.
We're working out. It's fine. You know, it looks good. I think I look beautiful.
I think so too. So
what was the last movie I mentioned? Summer Wars? Was that the last one I said before?
Yeah. So we kind of covered Mirai, Summer Wars. He also did obviously The Girl Who Lept Through Time,
Yep.
but also Wolf Children. I remember hearing a lot about Wolf Children,
Oh
but I
my
also
god.
remember hearing a lot about The Boy and the Beast,
Yep.
which I don't know if The Boy and the Beast is like as acclaimed as some of his other works,
Hmm.
but I do still remember hearing a lot about it,
Yeah.
like when it debuted and a little bit around that time because it debuted in
Yeah.
2015, I think. So,
He has such like nice little I don't know. I always feel like I hear about his stuff and it sounds unique without being outrageous. Like, does
mhm.
that make sense? Like,
Yeah, no,
I, the Boy and the Beast is literally just about a boy and his friendship with an older mentor who is a beast character, and they go around like feudal Japan. I
yeah,
think it's something along those lines. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I
yeah,
don't take
neither
my
have
word for it. But
I.
I believe that's kind of what the premise is. I mean, Wolf Children, which is another movie that I've been meaning to see for a while, and I'm hoping we get to do a review about that sometime in the future.
Mhm.
It's literally just about a mother who is taking care of her half wolf, half human hybrid children, and like
Yeah,
that's a unique premise without like just shooting out of the water. I guess it's hard to explain kind of like the subtlety of it,
yeah.
the
I
simplicity, perhaps.
I think one of the defining traits of,
Mhm,
maybe Hosoda Hosoda-san, or, I would even extend this to Studio
mhm,
Ghibli, Ghibli, however you want to pronounce it. I would say that one of the greatest things that helps me get engrossed, I guess,
mhm,
into anime films specifically is like I don't know how they do it, but like one of the standout films that
mhm.
I think of is Porco Rosso by
Yes,
Studio Ghibli.
yes.
And like, dude, that is straight up like a World War I, World War II era film about a pig.
And
And
yo,
he
I
is
mean,
the
the
main
origins of
character.
it, like we're talking about like the simplicity. The origins of it was that it was just a short that was showed on planes, and I
Yeah.
mean, Miyazaki was like, "Well, I want to make this into a feature film," and he just fucking
Yeah.
did. Like
And
that's insane.
and that's the thing is like I remember watching Porco Rosso for the first time, and like I you just don't question what like
Mm,
you have this odd premise of just like not even an odd premise, but like an odd made character of a literal
mhm.
pig. And you just kind of accept it as fact because it's
Yeah.
just presented in such a way that it's like not that big of a deal.
Hmm.
And I think that's something that Hosoda uh, has done really well.
Yeah.
It seems, I personally haven't seen Wolf Children or The Boy and the Beast, but like with The Girl Who Up Through Time and Mirai, I think he does a great job with that, of
Hmm.
just like, here's the premise. Yeah, maybe it's a little wacky, but you just kind of don't care and you just enjoy the movie for what it is.
His movies feel akin to live action movies
Hmm.
almost. It hardly feels like it's animated to me.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about a little bit later in regards to the animation of how that is incorporated, for instance, in The Girl Who Wept Through Time. But we'll save that for another time. I think what it comes down to is Hosoda's like a pretty amazing individual when it comes to a directing style for anime, and I hope he gains more recognition in the anime community in regards to his films.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
you
I
know,
definitely agree. I think one of the biggest things is like, Makoto Shinkai,
mhm,
of Weathering with You and Your Name fame. A lot of people, after Your Name especially, like regarded this guy as the next Miyazaki,
yeah,
right? And people are like, oh my gosh, like this guy's going to revitalize the entire anime film industry,
yeah,
which, is partially true considering Your Name was like the third best grossing film
it's
of
pretty
like
high up
it's
there.
yeah, it's some insane number. It's like I think it's the third best grossing anime film of all time or something like that.
I believe that's correct. I can double check that on you, but continue,
Yeah,
please.
but like everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, Makoto Shinkai," and Shinkai does great work.
He
Your
does.
Name and Weathering You are two of my favorite movies, but I just feel like Hosoda-san is slept on, dude. Like
Hmm.
he he makes some great work, and I think it's just kind of, and I don't think it's necessarily underrated, like we were talking about earlier, because Mirai and really all the other movies seem to be fairly
Hmm.
critically acclaimed, and fairly acclaimed with the audiences as well. I think it's just one of those things that like you just don't hear much about him within the anime community specifically, so it kind of feels like he's underrated.
Yeah, yeah, and there could be maybe a couple of things that are leading to that because what Mirai came out in 20
2018.
2018. So like that's, that's I don't want to say that's before like the rise of weeb culture, because
Yeah.
it certainly isn't, but maybe mass weeb culture, maybe that's the right way of putting it, the TikTok
Hmm.
weeb culture, where it's like, okay, now we've got a lot of weebs out there, a lot more than I previously thought existed.
Yeah, that's the
And
truth.
so maybe it's because like his last film released in 2018 that it just hasn't caught like that super mass popularity, because like trends are a thing, trend
Yeah,
setting and all that such. But
definitely.
you know yeah, there's just a simple beauty to it. It's hard to explain. He has a new movie coming out in 2021, literally I believe a week from now, is what
Yeah.
we discovered last night. It'll be releasing at the Cannes, how do you pronounce it again?
Uh, I would just say
Is
cans.
it Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival, the
Yes.
Cannes Film
Yes, film
Festival?
festival.
Very famous. Um, is happening in a week, and it will be premiering there. So he'll be getting another workout, and now maybe Bell will really break the barrier to the normies, as they say.
I hope so. Um, Something that I did want to touch on
Yeah.
specifically with Hosoda that I thought was super interesting, and I think
Hmm.
adds to the fact that like he just does great work,
Hmm.
was the fact that when I was reading up on him and doing research about all
Yeah.
this, Studio Ghibli originally announced that Hosoda was supposed to direct Howl's Moving Castle,
Wow.
and like it was announced in like September 2001 that he was
Hmm.
supposed to direct it, and it was scheduled for the summer 2003 release, which I don't think it hit. I think it eventually hit 2004.
Yeah.
But the reason why that happened was because production was delayed due to creative differences, where
Yeah.
apparently Studio Ghibli was like, we want you to make a Miyazaki film. And apparently Hosoda was like, no,
Yeah.
I want to make like
Yeah.
my own film. And
And
apparently
that's so
there's,
interesting, because I mean, we also from the research learned that he was inspired by Miyazaki to a certain extent. Like it was like that kind of feeling that he wanted to branch out and really carve his own name, I
yeah,
suppose. Or maybe even not even that. I mean, I don't know the guy. I want to see some interviews at some point. Maybe next time we watch one of his movies, we can have a redux talk and talk more about the man that is
yeah,
Hosodo-san. But the man loves Castle Cagliostro. It's written right there that
yeah,
my man's was inspired by it. So
it's true.
I found more from the girl who leapt through time. I seem to draw more parallels between Shinkai's work
Hmm.
and
I would agree.
Soda-san's work. They seemed they're not the same, but there was definitely like parallels and like kind of perpendicular like points that were coming across between the two. It was very interesting.
Yeah, I
Before
would
we
agree to
before
that.
we go into the non spoiler section review, we're just going to tell you to watch this movie maybe 20 different
Yes.
times in different ways. But Studio Madhouse was the animation company that worked on this film. And in case you didn't know, Studio Madhouse has some pretty big bangers out in anime. I'd like to do a historical view on them at some point. So we'll do an episode on that in the future, because they've been around for I think like 30 plus years at this point, if I'm
Yeah,
remembering correctly.
I think their first anime debuted in 1973.
Oh my god,
So
they're way
like,
older than that then,
yeah,
yeah.
so they've been around for almost 50
50
years
years,
now.
yeah. It'll be in 2 years, will be their 50th anniversary. God, that's crazy. That's
Yeah,
insane. Oh
it's
my lord.
crazy, man.
But in case you didn't know, here are some popular pieces that have come from there. I know, give me a second. Hajime no Ippo, The Fighting, Beyblade, a total classic. Oh, that was the other thing we forgot to mention. Hosoda-san, also two of the movies we forgot to mention. He did Digimon the movie at some point. It was in
Hmm.
2000,
I
and
think it
he
was,
did
yeah,
the movie, the One Piece movie, Baron Amatsuri and the Secret Island.
which apparently is one of the best
From
One
yeah,
Piece films.
from what our One Piece friend informed us, is it's pretty damn good. If you're a One Piece fan, let us know in the comments. Studio Madhouse also came up with, give me a second here, trying to see some of
Um,
their big ones.
it says here they did Trigun in
They did do
1998.
Trigun. Sorry, yeah, Trigun I knew was the big one that I was looking for.
Yeah, and then one that I found very funny is they actually did Kirby Right Back at You
Let's
in
go. Let's
2001,
go. That's what
which
we like to see. They did High School of the Dead, bro. Oh, that's funny. I love that. Oh, they did Hunter x Hunter, the 2011 run, which is
Mm,
fucking, again, that's another spectacular anime. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what you're doing, man. I don't know why you're watching this show at this point. That's like that's an anime that everybody should watch.
mhm. It's true.
Parasite the Maxim, Death Parade. Oh, I fucking love Death Parade.
They did
Overlord.
they did season 1 of, One Punch Man,
Hmm.
which is the good season of One Punch Man.
Damn. Damn. Justin's guest starring in this episode. He's already throwing out the controversial takes, quote unquote
I will
controversial.
always do that if I'm ever on this.
Yeah, I think that's the main. Those are the main ones. I'm hoping I'm not
Yeah.
missing any. We're gonna get people yelling at us in the comments like,
Oh, Parasite,
yeah,
the
Parasite. If I didn't
Maxim.
mention that, Parasite the Maxim was is I love Parasite. We have a
Yeah.
good friend, Charlie, who, God, back in the day, we used to do this acting thing together where we would go to Norfolk, which is a couple of hours away from us, and stay in a hotel room and do an acting convention. And one night in the hotel, Parasite the Maxim was on Adult Swim, and I was like, "You should watch this with me." And he was like, "Wow, that one episode was pretty cool." And I was like, for high school Gino who didn't have a lot of anime friends, I was like, "Let's go, baby!" I was
That
like,
was it.
"Yes."
That was
I
the
was like
moment.
converting him. It was great. No, but yeah, so that's Studio Madhouse. Like I said, I'd like to do a historical overlens of them in the future to see how they started and how they got into anime and how they've grown over time. But for now, let's go into a spoiler review section.
Yeah,
Would you
works for me.
would you think, Justin?
Oh, man. Yeah, just great. Like I'm at a loss for words because like
Hmm.
it really is just like so well done. One
Yeah.
one of the biggest things that always stuck out to me. Um and to give you a little backstory, I guess, on my personal taste, I personally like I'm a sucker for characters. Like overall story is a great thing, but if you give me some good characters, I do not care about the overall story. It's part of the reason why I love Your Name so much.
Hmm.
Um, but this, like, absolutely incredible characters. Our main character, a 17-year-old named Makoto Kono, she is fantastic. And every move she makes, every time she speaks to any of her classmates or her family, it just like oozes with like character
Hmm.
and just like she feels like this might sound really lame, but like she actually did feel like a pretty real character to me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we joked, I think, at the beginning that she was just like a tomboy stereotype. Like when we first saw her, that was our immediate thing. Is we were like, ah, she's gonna be the
Yeah.
tomboy character. Yo, like it's so much more than that, man. There's like a lot of like nuance to like actually shaping her as like a real person.
Hmm.
It's awesome. To give context, I can give you like a short what the movie is about. Essentially, I think it's fair to say that this main character, Makoto, am I getting
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
Makoto.
Makoto essentially is working at school one day and she's having like a really bad day and she has an accident in the back room of a chemistry class and she
Hmm.
suddenly realizes that she has the ability to leap through time and leap to former versions of herself. I suppose I would say she doesn't like
Yeah.
really reverse time. She just kind of fits back into a mold of like, say, she can go back either 2 hours, she can go back several days later,
Yeah.
like a week earlier, that she simply goes back to a moment that she was in time. And I think she's still able to like teleport around and such like that. So it's not like it is still her literally leaping through time. It's still kind of a time traveler movie. They get a little iffy on how they explain it, but it's not that important. What's
Yeah.
important is that she can go back in time, do whatever she wants to.
Hmm.
And yeah, a lot of things happen from that. She has two best guy friends. She's a high school student. She has an aunt that she confides in, and
Hmm.
yeah, stuff happens from there. That's the I think the basic synopsis. I don't want to
Yeah.
go too much more
That is
into
a
it.
solid synopsis of it. But yeah, I think it's funny
Hmm.
just because like you mentioned it a little, like talking a little bit about it earlier, but like the name of the movie really lives up to it because it's not like like an Avengers Endgame time skip or like time leap where they like have to use this big machine and they all get shrunk down into the
Yeah.
quantum realm. It's literally like her jumping. Like she literally leaps, and then it's used for comedic effect quite a few times, and every single time I always chuckled at it. Um, but she leaps and she carries her momentum into wherever she lands. So then she's always like rolling and then like runs into something and then a bunch of stuff falls on. And she's like, oh wait, now I'm in the past. But I did think it was really cool, at least, that she did actually leap through time, and it wasn't just like a
Yeah.
naming convention that they didn't
Yeah.
keep throughout.
You mentioned that you chuckled a few times in regards to the slapstick comedy of her leaving through time, and I will say that this movie surprisingly really funny in
Yeah,
regard, like if you like I don't know if comedic slice of life is the right word, because I think some slice of life just kind of narrates there being funny situations that happen in life, because life is funny, you know, in
yeah.
a certain sense. Like I think about our friend group and the times that we enjoy, and the jokes that we make and such like that, and it felt very reminiscent of that. So, you know, as I said earlier, we started this movie last night at say 2 a.m. I
Yeah, it
think,
was late.
which I'm a big movie person, right? I love movies. I have a lot of things that we do on this channel are related to movies, have been in the past. That's great. The thing is though, is that like if you're gonna start a movie 2 a.m. on Discord with your buddies is usually not the
Not the
right time
best
to do
time.
it. It's usually
Mm-mm.
like the vibe's not there. Everybody's kind of ready to go to sleep. You're yawning the whole fucking time. You have to keep your eyes open and pay attention
Yeah.
to the screen. Yet we persevered watching this movie because it was so engaging, not only on the comedy, but on the characters, on the story, on
Mhm.
how beautiful it really was, that we were talking up until the end. We were all actively engaged with the movie,
Yeah.
talking with each other about it and not making fun of it really, but like honestly just laughing at the parts that were like worth laughing at.
Yeah.
Talking about the times it affected us, either when we were sad or like happy or like annoyed with something, about like something a character would do.
Mhm.
It was full engagement at this time in the morning, so much so that apparently I was talking so much that my dad walked by my room and yelled at me this morning because he was like, "Why were you up at 4 a.m.?" And I was like, "Listen, man, it happens, all right." He's like,
Dude,
"What were you doing?" I was like, I was talking with some homies, all right. Don't
do
worry
not
about it, all
worry
right,
about it,
please."
bro.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to go more into the plot. I think we're getting ready to step into that section and
Mhm.
talk about the specifics of the animation and the characters and the plot points that we like. But I really want to stress to you, if you have not seen this movie yet, please pause it here. You can come back later and watch it. Go see it with a friend, see it by yourself. I would recommend seeing with a friend. This movie's fine by yourself, but like I think it gets good if you're with, you know, a couple of your buddies and seeing that. I think it
Mhm.
lends well for that.
I would
Um,
agree.
but yeah, please go see it. Justin, is there anything else you want to add for those folks who haven't seen the movie yet?
Go see it. Gino was very kind. Gino's very sweet. Asking you all to go see it. I'm demanding. I Go see this movie right now. I do not care what you are doing. Drop it and go watch The Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
Firefighter
2006.
who's like trying to save people from a burning building, like watching this on his phone.
Nope.
He's like the axe in his other hand. He's like, "Sorry guys, I gotta go."
Sorry. I heard a call.
I heard a call. Yeah, Justin did mention, by the way, the 2006 movie. By the way, you're not looking for The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, the novelization, which
Yep.
released in the 60s.
Or
You'll probably
the
find online in Japanese.
live action version, which came out a few years later,
Oh yeah,
which is a different story entirely.
yeah.
They didn't fully just adapt the animated movie, which that's nice at least.
But yeah, I think that let's get into it. Let's talk
Please.
about the specific stuff that you like. We don't really have an organization for this, so you know, if you want to freeball, if there's any topic you want to specifically talk about, let's shoot for it. Let's go for it.
Um, I would say, since we're getting more into spoilers,
Mhm.
um, I would say let's just go ahead. I think a good place to start would be I'm
Can I
blanking on
say
the word.
something?
Yeah,
Can I
go
say
for it.
something for
Go for
the
it.
people who are just coming back now and watching it after seeing the movie? Was it not sick? I'm telling. We
Dude.
talked about this last night. The sickest moment in this fucking
Oh,
movie is when Makoto is trying to save her friends from dying on the bicycle,
Dude,
and she gets the call from what's his name, the coolest
Chiaki.
motherfucker, Chiaki, calls
Yeah.
her, and you think he's gonna ask her out again, and he goes, "You've been time leaping, haven't you?
Yeah.
Are you time leaping,
Literally,
girl?"
like,
And
"Have
she's
you
like,
been time leaping?" And oh, dude,
yeah,
um,
like, oh,
fantastic.
so cool.
Like, I one of my favorite,
Mhm.
things, um, because much like Gino, I am normally known as in a couple of friend groups of mine that as like the primary anime guy. So people will come to me for recommendations. I'm not nearly as versed on the subject. I'll be 100% honest. I'm not, but people will come to me, and
Mhm.
my one of my favorite things is always showing them your name and always getting to the part where they realize that there's time travel
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
go back to the city and it's destroyed. And he's like, wait a minute, no, I cannot wait to show people this movie for that exact moment as well, because I think that this, like Chiaki calling on the phone and being like, "You've been time leaping, haven't you?" I think that is overall a better twist.
It was an awesome twist because, like, like, honestly, like, I knew that we were looking for someone because she was really
Hmm.
confused about who was in the chemistry building, but like, w- the motif of like him repeatedly like having these feelings for her and like wanting to express them and like wanting to date her and such, like that
Yeah,
repeated to where he does the phone call and he sounds all nervous and stuff just to drop that on her.
yeah,
Fucking
dude,
excellent.
it was
Like,
so good.
oh, so cool, man. Oh my god. Yeah. In that scene, I believe there is one of those wide shots as well because
Hmm.
it's like the shock and it goes back out and it's
Yeah.
her standing on the street. And I want to talk about that in regards to the framing and why I thought this movie was so beautiful. We sort of had a discussion about it last night, in
Hmm.
regards to one of my favorite parts about this movie is that Soda made the excellent decision to pull the camera back on these three main characters, and he did it on some of the background characters as well. He did it for
Hmm.
like comedic themes. I think with the one girl who had a crush on
Oh yeah,
her
and
doctor
they
son
run like
friend.
run behind the tree and.
Yeah, and like that stuff was great. That was for the comedic effect and everything. Fucking excellent. I loved it. It was super
Hmm.
cute. But in terms of like displaying the scenery in combination with the characters being actual characters, it was excellent. I
Oh, it
was
was so
thinking
good.
about it in pairing with the fact that they're playing baseball all the time and that these characters who are far away from each other still hold a closeness that Hosoda like expressed human emotion while keeping the characters far away, which is normal.
Hmm.
That happens in real life. We're able to
Yeah.
tell people's like body imagery and like body language from a distance, you know? If I'm feeling down and I'm like walking around and stuff, like if I'm from a distance and Justin sees me, Justin can still tell that like I might be feeling sad, or he can tell that if
Yeah.
I'm like joyous, if I'm like, grooving on my feet and I'm like, tiptoeing and all that jazz, that you can get that. And Soda does this excellent fucking thing where he pulls the camera back and erases their actual like faces and stuff like that,
Hmm.
even when they're having like conversations. And it's so cool. Like
Yeah.
using that to not only frame their bodies so that body language is apparent, but also to get these really excellent wide shots of the scenery where he's not just trying to show off like how many intricate things we can fit into a panel, how many books, how many blades of grass, how many trees, the water. It's more than that. It's like
Yeah.
saying that the humans exist in that beautiful moment. It was so fucking cool. Like, oh,
It it
oh,
it really was fantastic, and I think so like kind of to add on top of that is like when you see a friend, so like if I saw Gino down the street or something,
mhm.
9 times out of 10 you can normally just like you can already know who they are. and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
literally.
again, like Hosoda does such a great job of that as well, is like even if you're not sure like who is talking or who is like in theory
Mhm.
in frame, the character designs and how they're portrayed through their body language specifically is so well done. You I guarantee you, if you watch this movie in black and white and you didn't know that Chiaki, for example, had red hair,
Yeah.
you could tell who Chiaki was every single time they have a wide shot like that because of how he moves.
And his posture, it was so cool.
Exactly.
So every time they had the trio versus how Chiaki stood, how I feel so bad for this third guy. I just keep forgetting his name.
Ko Kosuke, I think. It was,
Kosuke, yeah.
yeah.
Every time, like you could see the three different ways that they would stand and walk and like orient themselves. I think about when they were in the karaoke room and the
Hmm.
different ways that they would sit. It was so
It
nice. It
was
was so cool.
it was
I
so good.
Yeah, I was literally going to comment on the fact that they have I don't know if simplified character designs is the right word. I talked about earlier that there's a simplified beauty to this movie, and that's because to
Hmm.
me it feels like it's picturesque of the real world. Like again, you don't have like zany anime characters. Like everyone looks kind of normal for the most part, and a
Yeah.
lot of times they look similar to each other. I mean, you've got a lot of like high schoolers who are wearing like the same exact type of clothes and everything. So like really the distinctions you have are slight changes to the hair and the face, but adding the posture, adding the body language and stuff to that, it's so fucking nice. Like none of the characters and none of the artwork, I think, especially like stands out, but you can still bask in it. It's
Yeah.
not about like brilliance; it's about the beauty and the simplicity of the moment. And I'm gonna keep railing on that fucking term because it's really true. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how best else to describe it.
And even that, like, I like I'm a sucker.
Hmm.
I'm a big sucker for some Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
One of the things that stood out to me the entire time was like not only the fact that like Hosoda used wide shots in such a unique and cool way.
Hmm.
The thing is, it's not necessarily unique and cool. It's
Yeah.
exactly how we would see it done in most like live action films,
Hmm.
which again isn't in theory unique and cool, but I think it's unique and cool specifically to anime movies because
Yeah.
I think a lot of anime movies want to show a lot of detail and they want to show facial expressions and how the character reacts as well.
Hmm.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I would say again, just familiarity, because I believe, like we talked about before, both of these movies have familiarities between them. But Your Name and The Girl Who Lept Through Time,
Hmm.
there are a lot of moments where the characters in Your Name, react like you would expect in an anime.
Hmm.
Like they're it's over the top. They move really quickly. They do big movements, and I was just so drawn in by The Girl Who Leapt Through Time because there are moments where they do that, yes. But for the most part, it's very small,
Yeah.
very smooth. And we talked about this a little bit last night, but a lot of it was very reminiscent of just straight up rotoscoping
Yeah. Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
when we got the wide shots. And
Well,
it's
even
just
close-up shots where like they would like move an arm or something like that, it would be like the slower frames almost that is reminiscent of like rotoscoping type.
Mhm.
In case you don't know what rotoscoping is, they
Yeah.
essentially take like real actors, and they draw over them. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's
it's
not the
like
same
me
thing as like
waving a hand.
CGI recording
Yeah.
where you have
So
like the 3D models.
yeah, so it's basically like if you take like me waving my hand right here and then you go back frame by frame and
Mhm.
draw my hand as it's waving. That's essentially what rotoscoping is from my understanding of
I
it.
I think that's a good basic look at it. If you want a famous rotoscoper to look into his work, is it Bakshi? Is Bakshi how you pronounce it?
I'm not entirely sure.
Give me a second. He did yeah, Bakshi. He did a Lord of the Rings variant
Mm,
before the original live action movies where they did an
mhm.
animated version.
Yep.
He's been famous for quite a bit of like older style like 80s and 90s animation, but he was
Yeah.
famous for using rotoscope. So if you want an example of that, look it up online. You'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. Um, I mentioned earlier that there were certain parallels in regards to how the story framing of The Girl Who Leapt Through Time works with Your Name
Mhm.
in reflection of one another. And I wanted to point it out that The Girl Who Leapt Through Time came out like way before,
Yeah.
you know?
12 years? No, 11
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Maybe.
Uh,
Wait, when did Your Name come out?
it was 2016 or 2017. You can double check me on that though.
Yeah, I'll double check here real quick.
Yeah. So in
2016.
terms of like how the overall plot works, right? There was this really cool notion of the powers. So the leaping through time, and in the case of your name, the switching of bodies, like
Mhm.
being important to the plot, right? But not so much so that it's like trying to think of how to explain it. What I can say about it is that they I'm drawing a blank here. Um it's used in terms of like living everyday life. It works
Mhm.
in the sense of a slice of life artwork. Both pieces do, right? The changing in your name, they don't use the powers when they change with each other like at their advantage in terms of like we're gonna use this to be like some kind of weird like get rich quick scheme. Like they're
Mhm.
actually like humans interacting with each other, and I felt like a very similar thing in the girl who leapt through time in regards to how Makoto used her powers, right?
Yeah.
That she was using it to make her life better. But like I think Chiaki mentioned it when he was talking about like, I'm really glad that an idiot like you got these powers because someone else could have used them for evil. She uses
Mhm.
them for like everyday life stuff. So much to the nuance of like she freaks out when a boy tells her that he
Mhm.
likes her and she wants to go back and fix that. Uh,
Yeah.
like using the supernatural elements to just talk about like everyday life and how someone would use that in everyday setting is so fucking cool, and I think it's really reminiscent in like how it operates in your name, so much so that both of them have like a finalizer for the powers, right? So and the
Mhm.
girl who leapt through time, she supposedly runs out of her ability to leap through time eventually, right?
Yep.
So she stops having the ability to, she runs out of her counters. Your Name supposedly had the same thing where there's like the very special line where he goes like, after this day we never switch bodies again, and of course they do later on to help save one of the characters. But there's a very similar like idea of like finalization of the powers, that it's only one specific part of your life. Like this leaping
Mhm.
through time ability isn't something she's going to have for the rest of her being.
Yeah.
In Your Name, it's the same instance that they get that one big last shot, and then there's no more body switching after that. It's only a precious small moment in your
Mhm.
overall life, and in this like really important time when you're like developing and growing in high school, which is
Yeah.
like we all can relate to. We've all been there. We've all been, the 17, 18-year-olds who have been through that struggle, right?
Mhm.
But
I
yeah.
I think one of the most interesting um, differences between Your Name
Mhm,
and The Girl Who Leapt Through Time and how it specifically deals with time travel
mhm,
is um, Your Name is very focused on changing the past
mhm.
simply so that our two main characters can be together
Yeah,
and have a
yeah.
romance. Um, which again, I love Your Name. I'm a sucker for it. But the difference to me with The Girl Who Leapt Through Time is kind of like you were saying, how um, Makoto just uses it to, avoid awkward situations or,
Mhm.
do better on a math test.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it's very small changes. And she's not specifically trying to change the future or change the past. She is trying to do that,
Mhm.
but not for any like higher goal.
Yeah.
It's like it's entirely character driven. It's entirely, this is just what Makoto wants to do. And I think one of the interesting things about it is like Your Name, the consequence of them body switching and going back in time is that, they end up saving the town. Itamori,
Yeah.
I think is what it's called. They end up saving Itamori. But the in The Girl Who Up Through Time, the consequences of her changing time so much is that her best friend, like one of the big three, like her best friend and his now like brand new girlfriend might die, like actually. And it's just it's very interesting that like I think the aunt mentions it at one point where it's
Mhm.
like your changes are helping you, but they might be hurting other people. And
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things that stuck out to me weren't the big moments like the bike flipping over and now
Mhm.
her friend might die. It was the smaller moments
Yeah.
that like can like they do play into the plot more, but like the smaller moments where um instead of her dropping the shrimp tempura and the
Yeah.
it all blowing up and then a guy does it, and then later on we see him getting
Majorly
hosed,
bullied
like
and
literally a bullied, and then it escalates even
yeah.
farther.
He
Uh,
became a Japanese version of a school shooter with the
yeah,
fire
dude,
extinguisher.
literally just like yeet and try to kill this girl. And then he's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to, bro." Anyway,
Well, because like even when the time reverse happens there, and she ends up causing her friend Yuri to get injured, that literally that same
yep,
moment that like she didn't want Chiaki to be injured, and she ended
yep,
up injuring one of her other good fucking friends. Like,
yep,
yeah, it was excellent in that, and you know, I also like seeing how she played with time. It helped me fall more and more for her character in regards to like she really was a character that you wanted to follow. You
yeah,
know, I felt really bad for her when she was going through I was annoyed with her and I felt bad for her when she was going through the distinctions of how she felt about Chiaki, about how she wanted to interact with him
yeah,
after he confessed his feelings to her.
yeah.
But one of my favorite scenes is when they went to the karaoke and she just did it over and over and over again because
Yep.
she just loved being with her
She just want
friends.
and she just wanted to sing for 10 hours.
Yeah,
Like,
like that's fucking
that's
beautiful,
it.
man. That's awesome. That's so great. Like,
And
yeah.
and with that, it's like, dude, I feel like that's just like a real world use.
Uh-huh. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's something that I feel like any person on this earth would do is that,
Yeah.
they'd go hang out with friends and they'd have a great time and they'd be like, you know what? I want to time leap, a couple hours before so I can like
Mhm.
relive all of that and have such a great time with my friends again. And like
Yeah.
that's just what Makoto does. And she's a lovable character for it. And I think that's what helps.
Mhm. She's also
What
not like a genius or anything. Like it would
Yeah.
this movie would have been ruined if she was like the meticulous, like I know everything that I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
They introduced the math quiz. She fucks up the first time. She goes back and aces it the second time. She comes back to it again, a separate third time in the future in the movie, and
Mm-hmm.
fucking fails it. Like, is
Yep.
that not great? Like,
It's
that's
like
fucking excellent, man.
it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I like. Oh, this movie in regards to the detail and the plot and like the things that it comes back to and plays with that it does so well with the time
Mm-hmm.
like time travel can be such a hard thing to work with in media. It can be such a pain in the ass, and it just kills it here. It does
It's
so
true.
excellent. The
It
way they talk about it, the way the main character interacts with it, and the way it operates in the universe. Wah,
Yeah,
mwah,
fantastic. It is
umai.
so good.
Yeah.
Um, I would also like to touch on one of my personal favorite parts of the film
Mhm.
because, like I mentioned earlier, if you made it all the way this far, congratulations. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm a big sucker for characters
Mm.
and the chemistry
Yeah.
solely between Makoto, Chiaki, and Kosuke, like
Mm.
absolutely wonderful, absolutely
Yeah.
flavorful. Like Kosuke is kind of like the ideal guy. Like
Yeah.
he's tall, he's athletic, he's super nice. He spends his time at to help the elderly, stuff like that. And he feels like he kind of feels like that stereotypical perfect dude. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like as Makoto continues leaping and doing all these different things and trying to set him up with someone, like all of these antics, even like some of the smaller characters,
Yeah.
they they just get this depth to them. And specifically between Chiaki, Makoto, and Kosuke, like the chemistry between the three of them, not only Makoto interacting
Mhm.
with Chiaki and Kosuke, but the chemistry between Kosuke and Chiaki
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Dude, that final scene when he walks back into frame for the last
Oh,
time, yo,
bro.
I know, I know. I also love how Soto does excellent with the off-frame feelings for characters and setting up
Mm-hmm.
situations where you know things are happening either in the offside or that the characters haven't disappeared from the main narrative, right? Just because
Yep.
they're not on screen, they still hold weight and relevance to the plot.
Yep.
So much so that again, Chiaki walking off and her not seeing him only for him to like do his classic fuckboy walk back into
Yeah.
the frame, bro,
Yeah.
and give her a hug. Oh, my heart,
It's
dude. When he didn't
oh,
kiss her, I was so bad.
dude,
I was so ticked.
I cannot believe that he just whispered in her ear
That was the only oh
dipped.
my god, I just realized the only fucking problem I had with this movie is while I loved it, the end only left me unsatisfied because I just wanted
Yeah.
to know what happened in the
You
future and
want more.
everything. There
It
you just want to know
and
everything. Like,
dude,
ugh.
and that's the thing is like I can't even like I was like, oh well, like it did have it had a conclusive ending, but like the ending, like 10, 15, 30 seconds
Mhm,
is not Chiaki, Makoto, like someone being like, so like, what are you gonna do? Like, and
mhm.
then she just like looks up and it's just like, I know what I want to do with my future. And then it like still frame and you just see
Yeah.
Makoto's face and you see a beautiful background. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible. But what the
I
fuck
thought it
does
was
she
gonna
want to do?
I thought it was gonna flashback and take us to the future where she's like an art
Or something.
preservationist or
It
something because
left
he
me
just wanted to see
wanting
a fucking
more.
artwork. Yeah.
Oh.
It's fine. It happens, you know?
which
We're
which I think can be frustrating.
Mhm.
Um, I do think that is probably one of my only problems with the film is that it does leave you wanting for more. It does leave you, wanting
Yeah.
a more conclusive ending. But I think one of the like positives against that is it doesn't feel like it's ambiguous
Mm.
because Hosoda didn't have anything in mind.
Yeah.
Like you can tell by the way that it ends and by the way that like you don't really know how it ends
Yeah.
that Hosoda had like there was obviously something turning in his mind and he knows exactly what Makoto is going to do. He knows exactly what Chiaki meant by the words that he said at the end. He knows everything. We as the audience doesn't, which can be very frustrating, but at least it's not for no reason.
Yeah.
Um so God, what a good movie.
It was a good movie. It's pretty great.
Fantastic film.
I'm not sure there's much else I wanna say. I think that was it
Yeah.
for the most part. If you have seen this movie or you've just watched it due to this review, please let us know what you thought about it in the comments below.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I don't know how long we've been recording, unfortunately. So we might end up splitting this into a two-parter where we do the no spoiler section and then we'll come back. So we'll split it up to this
Yeah.
next quote unquote video um for a two-parter. So
Ooh.
but let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Let us know
Yep.
if you've seen this movie before. Let us know how you felt about Justin joining me and if we should do more weeb content in the future.
Yeah.
I'm going to invite him on again. You can't stop me.
You
Sorry.
can't stop me either. I'll continue coming on here and
We're
I will give
god
my
damn it.
hot takes every single time.
We're gonna be in the middle of a comic book review, like recording, and all of a sudden just be like, Justin Schofield, join the thing, and be
Join the
like,
Zoom.
ah
How'd you
shit.
get this?
Like Justin, we're talking about fucking Batman, bro. We're talking about the X-Men, man.
No,
And
and
be like,
I'll just kick in the door and be like, yo, Neon Genesis,
Chainsaw Man.
Evangelion.
Rrr. I expect a Chainsaw Man manga review at some point, either on TikTok or I'll do one on here. I got to get to that since the live action one's coming out, or not the live action, the animated
The
version's coming
anime.
out, and everyone's looking forward to it. But in case again you haven't checked out Justin's channel, please go see Video Game Docs. He does excellent documentaries.
There
I was
you
about to
go.
say
You got it.
documentaries on the history of video games, the history of video game companies, video games themselves,
Hmm.
and like I said, he's part of our brother media corporation under the Apt Wonder project that me and Nikita help run. And so we love him. Go show him your love.
Please.
Hopefully his homies show
Please.
us some love.
I hope so too. I'll make
We
sure to
should
shout you guys
we
out.
should just all love each other.
It's
Fuck it.
just,
Like we're all in this
yeah,
together,
dude.
guys. All right, come on.
Yep.
We gotta
Everyone love each other.
I'm trying to imagine some video game nerd just like thumbing his nose, not only at like anime, but at like comic books and anime, just being like, no.
See,
It's
I
like
don't know. There's such a big crossover on it. So
I
like I don't
know that's
know.
what I'm saying. It's just all geek shit. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand. You could like one and not like the other.
Yeah, I
Be
agree.
interesting if we did a. There's got to be like Legend of Zelda comics out there.
There
Like
is.
somebody, yeah,
There's Legend of Zelda manga covering each main game in the series, I think. I have Ocarina of Time up in
yo,
my room.
yo. We
Yeah,
gotta.
dude.
There's a bunch of manga video game crossovers that we need to do, or anime as well. Because what we have F Zero's one.
Hmm.
The Pokemon manga is fucking excellent. I love that
Kirby right
shit.
back at you.
Kirby right back at you. Samus, I'm guessing has to have something. Hopefully,
Actually, I don't think so. I mean,
damn.
if Samus doesn't, we do have the Sonic OVA, which came out in the
And the
90s
Archie
before,
comics
yeah,
as
and the
well.
Archie
Yeah.
comics.
Yeah. Those are classic.
Yeah.
Those are classic. The real review that needs to happen, Sonic Underworld, is that what it's called?
Sonic
Underground.
Underground.
Sonic
Yeah.
Underground, baby.
Sonic Underground.
The legend down that your brother will be
I,
found.
I don't even
Sonic
know any of the
Underground.
words to
Yeah,
that.
I love that shit when I was a kid because of Netflix used to have it online and you could watch that stuff. But we veered off topic quite a
Yep.
bit. It's
Little
time
bit.
to end the episode and go home.
Yeah. Time to go
My
to
name's
bed.
Gino. I'm your
My name.
resident weeb.
I don't know how this works. My name is Justin. I am your resident video game nerd. Fuck,
And
it's already
this
taken.
is and
And
this
this
is
is your
your
resident
resident
nerd.
nerd. Thanks for watching.